Now, Mr. President, I want to turn to a separate matter, and I think all of us are heartbroken by what we see happening in Los Angeles with the devastating fires. There's been a horrific loss of life, of homes, businesses due to these California fires, and the loss is just staggering. As we speak, firefighters, first responders, including the Wyoming National Guard, are working around the clock to keep residents safe. I'm grateful for the heroic efforts. As they do their job, we here in the Senate need to do ours, and there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. One of my biggest questions is, how do we prevent that next wildfire from happening? Well, when it comes to the environment, liberal politicians want to control what kind of car we drive, what kind of stove we cook on, how long we can take in the shower, yet they neglect our forests. They put up roadblocks to forest management, tools that work. They've done that legislatively. They've done it with regulations as well. What is especially crazy is that these restrictions are made in the name of protecting the environment, an environment that they're hurting. Nothing could be worse for the environment than massive wildfires. And as a result, our public lands have turned into tinderboxes. And it's because of policies that we've seen come out of this body, this administration, Democrat administrations prior to that. And Wyoming is no stranger to wildfires. This past fire season was especially devastating in northern Wyoming. I was on the front lines thanking the firefighters in Wyoming this summer. We had the House Draw Fire in Johnson County, the Elk Fire that spanned Johnson and Sheridan counties. To put this into perspective, in Southern California, we saw about 40,000 acres burn in just over a week, 40,000 acres. In Wyoming, it was over 275,000 acres. So now you might not have heard about this, since Wyoming is one of the smallest populations, actually is the smallest population state in the country. Our population clearly is just a fraction of Los Angeles, but these were big fires. To learn lessons from each other on how to prevent the next fire. So in the Senate, I've been working to promote effective forest management practices at every level. So today I've introduced a bill called the Wildfire Prevention Act. My bill allows agencies to treat more acres and remove more red tape to better protect our forests and our fellow Americans. It sets clear standards and clear expectations for forest management that we currently lack in this country. It provides the tools for the agencies for the prevention and preparation for the next time. And it requires a lot more openness about the limits and the challenges that we face on these important issues. This is about protection, not punishment. It's about protecting the people, protecting our clean air, and as long as America lacks proper forest management, then we're going to continue to see terrible, costly tragedies like what we're seeing today in California and we saw this past summer in Wyoming. With better forest management, we can lessen the damage of forest fires. The federal government can and will help Californians rebuild. California needs to rebuild with resilience. They need to rebuild with a commitment of preventing a similar fire in the future. We've seen massive mismanagement. Anybody watching the interviews with the governor of California, the fire chief in California, the mayor of LA, will say there's been massive mismanagement, gross incompetence by the elected leadership in California. This needs to change to protect the people who live there from the terrible mistakes and judgments of these elected officials. It's not a crisis that we can solve ourselves or that will solve itself. My bill will make us better prepared to fight fires in the future. It should be attached to any disaster relief that goes to California. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.